Rodwave was arrested for allegedly firing 14 shots in a girlfriend Minnie Barbie's G-Wagon. It says via Spade News TV. So this is Spade News saying this. This ain't Ceddy Nash. Let me cite my source real quick. Hell nah. Rodwave was arrested today on 13 charges, including aggravated assault, possession of a firearm, and more after his bond on a separate charge was revoked for an incident that allegedly took place last month. Authorities say they acquired video evidence of him getting into an argument with his girlfriend and shooting her vehicle. No one was inside the vehicle. He was released on bond a few hours after being arrested today. Bruh. But it says right here, it says at 21 hours, Mr. Green, Ms. Andrews, and Mr. Green's associate are then observed walking out of the residence. Mr. Green and the associate are both carrying bags and what appears to be a box from the residence as Ms. Andrews follows. There was no audio with the video, but it appears that Ms. Andrews and Mr. Green are in a verbal argument, and it appears that Ms. Andrews yells at Mr. Green. Mr. Green then pulls out a Glock 20 10mm pistol from under his left arm that he is taking from the residence, and as he walks through the garage courtyard, he opens fire at Ms. Andrews' Mercedes G-Wagon, firing 14 rounds in total, emptying the pistol magazine. Ms. Andrews' 2025 Mercedes G-Wagon was struck by 11 rounds. 1 round struck Ms. Green's 2022, and it doesn't say the rest on there.
They're saying Rodwave crashed out over a girl, bruh. Please tell me this ain't true. But if you listen to his songs, you might believe it. Let's go. Green, Rodarius, Marcel.
You go right here. Boy got arrested in Atlanta, so y'all know he went to Fulton County, or you can just look up to the right. It says Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Black male, 5'8", 300 pounds. I promise you, that boy is at least 360, bare minimum. Anyways, let's do it. So it says aggravated assault, possession of firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, pointing or aiming gun or pistol at another, reckless conduct, criminal damage to property, second degree, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, misdemeanor, tampering with evidence, felony, possession of firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, simple assault, reckless conduct, criminal damage to property, second degree, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, misdemeanor, tampering with evidence, felony, conspiracy to commit a felony. How that song go? I did it all for you. Yeah. Now, you know the hood lawyer gonna mess around and do exactly what these other channels won't. But if you can, man, hit the like button like you like something. Let's get into the sentencing guidelines for all of these felonies. God, dog. In Georgia, aggravated assault is a felony defined as assaulting someone with the intent to murder or rob them by using a deadly weapon or object that could cause serious bodily injury. It carries a sentence of 1 to 20 years in prison, and fines can range up to $100,000 according to the Georgia criminal law. In Georgia, possessing a firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies carries a penalty of 5 years in prison for a first conviction, says Georgia criminal lawyer. A second conviction, the penalty increases to 10 years. The sentencing is served consecutively to any sentence the individual receives. Now, this one says misdemeanor, so we'll only read the misdemeanor for now. In Georgia, reckless conduct is a misdemeanor offense, meaning it is punishable by up to 12 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. However, more serious penalties, including prison time, can be applied if the reckless conduct also results in injury or other serious harm. Elaboration: misdemeanor. Reckless conduct is generally classified as a misdemeanor in Georgia, carrying a maximum penalty of 12 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. In Georgia, a conviction for criminal damage to property in the second degree, OCGA 16-7-23, results in a prison sentence of 1 to 5 years. It is considered a felony. The punishment also includes a fine. The state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that damage exceeded $500 and was intentional. Elaboration: sentencing. Now understand this. This is the second degree. So a person convicted of criminal damage to property in the second degree in Georgia faces a prison sentence of at least 1 year and up to 5 years. Additionally, they may be required to pay a fine. In Georgia, willfully obstructing a law enforcement officer is a misdemeanor offense under OCGA 16-10-24, punishable by a fine up to $1,000 and or jail time up to 1 year.
This includes situations where an individual knowingly or willfully interferes with an officer's lawful duties, such as by giving false information or otherwise hindering the officer's actions. Elements of the offense: intent. The individual must have knowingly and willfully committed the act of obstruction, interference. The act must obstruct or hinder a law enforcement officer. Lawful duties. The officer must be in the lawful discharge of their duties. Examples of obstruction. This gets good. Lying to an officer about your identity or whereabouts, giving false information to an officer, physical interference with an officer, refusal to comply with an officer's lawful order, which I probably think that one right there is more than likely the one that he did. Possible penalties: fine up to $1,000, jail time up to 1 year, community service, and anger management classes. Defense strategies. Lack of intent. If the individual did not intentionally obstruct the officer, it may be a defense. Freedom of speech. Simply questioning or disagreeing with an officer is not typically a crime, according to a criminal defense lawyer. Innocence. If the individual was not actually interfering with the officer's duties, they may be able to argue their innocence. Lack of evidence. If the prosecution cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the individual obstructed the officer, the charges may be dismissed. Right. Okay. In Georgia, tampering with evidence that is part of a felony case and involving another person is a felony punishable by imprisonment for 1 to 3 years or 1 to 10 years for a serious violent felony, which that's exactly what he has. So he has the 1 to 10 that they're looking at. If the case involves a misdemeanor, it's a misdemeanor offense. The specific penalties depend on the nature of the case and whether it involves a third party. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Felony punishment. If you tamper with evidence in a felony case involving another person, you face a sentence of 1 to 3 years in prison. If the felony is a serious violent felony, as defined in 17-10-6.1, the punishment is 1 to 10 years. Yeah, that's interesting right here. Let's do this one right here. I like these ones. I hate to say it this way, but these ones right here get such a detailed description that you gotta like it, right? Well, you gotta like to know. I don't want to say that we like this type of stuff, because we don't, but it is what it is. Intent to prevent apprehension or obstruct prosecution. To be convicted of tampering with evidence, the state must prove you intended to prevent the apprehension or prosecution of someone or to obstruct their defense. This could involve destroying, altering, concealing, or disguising physical evidence, or making, devising, preparing, or planting false evidence. Increíble. Examples of tampering: destroying evidence like wiping down a vehicle, throwing documentation out a window, or hiding a bullet casing are all examples of tampering with evidence. And then it says involving another person. And I think somebody had basically said he crashed out over a girl, bro. So let's check it. Involving another person. The key factor in determining the level of punishment is whether the tampering involved another person, meaning it was done to prevent their apprehension or to obstruct their prosecution, or defense, says a criminal lawyer. So never mind. That ain't even going to apply to. In Georgia, possessing a knife or firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies carries a penalty of 5 years in prison to be served consecutively to any other sentences. A second conviction for the same offense results in a 10-year prison term. This means the 5-year sentence for the weapon offense is added to the end of any sentence received for the other felony. Yeah, meaning that's going to tack on another 5. So let's get to it. Felony addition. The possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of a felony in Georgia is treated as a separate felony offense. Consecutive sentences. The 5-year prison sentence for the weapon possession is added consecutively, meaning it is served after any other sentences received for the underlying felony. I don't think he has a second offense, but it is possible. Let me look back over here, because he actually does have that. That's the second one that pops up. He has it twice. So yeah, it'll be a second offense. A second conviction for this offense results in a 10-year prison sentence, which, if it serves me right, buddy already looking at 15 years based off of that. Specific crimes, the offense applies when possessing a firearm or knife during the commission or attempt to commit certain felonies, including crimes against the person, unlawful entry, or theft from a building or vehicle. Wow. We ain't really got to care about the stun guns and tasers, because, that's crazy. The term firearm includes stun guns and tasers. The more you know. In Georgia, reckless conduct is a misdemeanor with penalties including up to 12 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. However, reckless conduct can also be a felony in certain situations, like if it violates, like if it involves HIV transmission or results in bodily harm. Elaboration: misdemeanor reckless conduct. A general conviction for reckless conduct in Georgia is a misdemeanor carrying potential jail time of up to 12 months and a fine of up to $1,000. Felony reckless conduct. Reckless conduct can be upgraded to a felony in specific cases such as being infected with HIV and knowingly engaging in sexual activity without disclosing your status, causing bodily harm, which can lead to a felony charge of reckless conduct causing harm. You got reckless driving, and then factors in sentencing. The court will consider various factors when determining a sentence, including the nature of the reckless conduct, the defendant's prior record, and any mitigating circumstances. In Georgia, criminal damage to property in the second degree is a felony punishable by a prison sentence of 1 to 5 years. The offense involves intentionally damaging property belonging to another without their consent, with damage exceeding $500. Additionally, it can be charged if property of any value is recklessly or intentionally damaged by fire or explosive. I highly doubt he did that. Felony, second degree criminal damage to property is a felony in Georgia. Sentence, the penalty is a prison sentence between 1 and 5 years. Damage threshold, the damage must exceed $500 for it to be charged as a second degree felony. Intent or negligence, the damage must be either intentional or recklessly caused by fire or explosive. A misdemeanor conviction for willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer can result in a fine up to $1,000 and/or jail time of up to 1 year. The court may also impose other requirements like community service or anger management classes. Elaboration. Misdemeanor obstruction charges in Georgia typically apply to lesser offenses like lying, giving false information, or interfering with an officer's duties, which I'm pretty sure he did the last one. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm just taking a guess. I think we all would guess that, right? Who gets that with me? I'm fairly certain. Anyways, penalties for a misdemeanor conviction. The potential penalties include a fine up to $1,000 and/or jail time of up to 1 year. The court may also impose additional requirements such as community service or mandatory classes. Prior convictions punishments can be more severe if the individual has prior convictions for obstruction. Felony obstruction. If the actions involve violence or a threat of violence, the obstruction charge could be elevated to a felony with potential prison sentences of 1 to 5 years. In Georgia, tampering with evidence that involves a felony, and especially a serious violent felony, carries significant penalties, including imprisonment. Specifically, if the tampering involves a felony, the sentence can be from 1 to 3 years. If the tampering involves a serious violent felony, the sentence can be 1 to 10 years, according to Georgia law. Tampering with evidence when it relates to a felony offense is a serious crime in Georgia. The minimum punishment is 1 year in prison and the maximum is 3 years. Serious violent felony tampering, if the evidence tampering is related to a serious violent felony, the potential penalties are significantly increased. The sentencing range is from 1 to 10 years in prison, according to Georgia law. Definition of tampering. Tampering with evidence in this context means knowingly destroying, altering, concealing, or disguising physical evidence, or making, devising, preparing, or planning false evidence, as explained by a criminal lawyer. Intent requirement. There must be an intent to prevent the apprehension of a person, to cause a wrongful apprehension, or to obstruct the prosecution or defense of a person. Examples of tampering with evidence, including wiping down a vehicle to destroy evidence, throwing documentation of a forged check out the window, or hiding a bullet casing in the trash. Yeah, that is a terrible example. This is the last one. In Georgia, conspiracy to commit a felony is a serious offense with sentencing that can range from a minimum of 1 year to 1/2 the maximum sentence for the underlying felony, along with potential fines. If the conspired crime is punishable by death or life imprisonment, the sentence can range from 1 to 10 years. I don't think he's doing that. I don't think Kel's getting a life sentence. So conspiracy in Georgia, conspiracy involves an agreement between 2 or more people to commit a crime, and an overt act must be taken by at least one of them to further the conspiracy. Ooh-wee. All right. Felony conspiracy sentencing. The sentencing for conspiracy to commit a felony is generally 1 year to 1/2 the maximum sentence for the underlying felony. For example, if the felony has a maximum prison term of 10 years, the conspiracy sentence could range from 1 to 5 years. Fines can also be imposed up to 1/2 the maximum fine for the felony. Conspiracy to commit a crime punishable by death or life imprisonment. We ain't even finna do all that. Overt act. An overt act doesn't have to be a criminal act. It can be any act that furthers the conspiracy, even a legal one. Multiple charges. A person cannot be convicted of both conspiracy to commit a crime and the completed crime, but they can be charged with both. Now, where do we start with this? All right, innocent until proven guilty. Let me put that out there. A lot of charges could get dropped. You know, he's not convicted. You know what I mean? Let's put that out there first. He is not convicted. That's the biggest thing I want y'all to understand. Since he's not convicted, we're not going to treat him like he's freaking convicted. Now, with that said, bruh, I ain't gonna hold you. They saying that he shot at a girl's car. Y'all, come on, bruh. If this is true, man, if this is true, Rodwave deserves everything that he gets. You have to understand, like, we do have to get to a level of understanding where we say we can be supporters. Some of y'all would even say fans of people's music. You can be that 100%, but their actions have to separate from their talents. They just do. Example, one of my favorite basketball players, well, actually, my favorite basketball player when I was growing up was Scottie Pippen, SP33. Bruh, as a person, how he treated people allegedly, according to a bunch of stories that were written about him, God was a piece of shit. Now, when I met him, he wasn't like that. But that's just me. There's a bunch of people who may believe that Scotty is a piece of crap. Rodwave may be a nice dude to the majority of us, but this ain't the first time we heard of something crazy like this, man. And it just goes to show, not even goes to show, but it's just one of those things where either Buddy is not self-aware, Buddy got a screw loose, or even worse, Buddy just a bad person to people that he messed with. Just because somebody has celebrity status doesn't mean they have status above all. In these days and ages, these spaces and places, these times that we make for people, bruh, we have to be able to be honest. And honestly speaking, if Rodwave did these things he is accused of, man, fuck him. Fuck him. Straight up. Fuck him, bro. Like, come on, man. We can't. I won't even say we. People should not disregard this stuff. And Rodwave has to have his day in court. And if he beats all the charges, then he beats all the charges, and it is what it is. Then that just means, Rodwave, you need to have a conversation with your circle and with yourself about what you are attracting and why you are attracting it. Because typically people give off signs before they even show you certain things. Pay attention to the jokes. Pay attention to the insults. Pay attention to what they do when they're angry. Pay attention to how they operate amongst other individuals that they don't like, that they are around. These should be simple things that you should understand, but in practice, it is very difficult. Common sense ain't common practice. And when you don't commonly practice it, it's not a habit. And if it is not a habit, I hate to say this to y'all, it's not there. You're unaware. So we will see how this plays out, man. I don't know. Hopefully the big fella didn't, and that's funny, me saying big fella, because me and him weigh the damn same, except I'm 6'3", he 5'7". Unfortunately, man, the big dude got some bad headlines, and hopefully, man, hopefully, whatever happened isn't as bad as we think it is. But if it is, bruh, I gotta be honest, I'm a protector of women. So it'll be y'all want me to address the elephant in the room. Rodwave is on camera allegedly shooting. And that right there is an act of intimidation, angry like a little bitch. Just bitch ass shit, bro. Just bitch ass shit. Will I still listen to his music? Yeah, but if he goes to jail for 15 years, that's what the fuck you get, bro. That's what you get. Your life wasn't in danger. She didn't harm you. She didn't hurt you. You arguing with a woman. Rule number one, there's two ways to argue with a woman. None of them work. You can't argue with women, bruh. It's one of the dumbest things that you're going to do. Say your point. Let her say her piece. Cut it right there. If you decide to go further, bruh, that ain't working. You the person with all the money. There's a ton of hers out there. There's not a ton of young black millionaires. It's just not. There's a ton of pretty women in freaking Atlanta. Go through the goddamn airport. The hoes is all in Spirit Airlines. They right there. Right fucking there. Right when you get in, right to the left. All yellow. Boom. Bruh. Now, some people gonna say, well, he might have bought the G-Wagon, and that's his G-Wagon, and he could have did this and did that. Man, I done dealt with enough brides. I done dealt with enough brides, enough men have, where, bruh, what we gave in a relationship, we may want it back. But then why? You Rodwave, huh? Now, unless it's in your name, then there's a difference. Have it taken back the legal way. But from what it looked like, you bought that bride that G-Wagon. You felt some type of way. Maybe, you seen that she was inboxing me or something like that. Tall big niggas, not short big niggas. You see what I'm saying? But in all seriousness, bro, Rodwave needs some fucking help if this is true. He does. Because right now, he just threw his whole entire career away if this is true. They saying video proof. We ain't really seen nothing. We done heard enough from faulty ass Fulton County to know that, yeah, what may be said, what may not be said. So we'll figure it all out, bruh. But Rodwave crashed out and shot that girl's car up, bruh. And all candor from me to you, fuck you, bro. But hopefully this ain't true, man. But y'all let me know y'all thoughts on this one, man. If we can hit the like